So let me go back out to chapter 8 exercise. I know I don't have the imagery up, but I'm just going to follow along. There is a video where they do it. That's fine. I'll make my own video here. I just have two parts to make. I haven't even uploaded anything about them. So it really, this one should just be two parts and an assembly and a presentation file. So there's really four files that I finish here. So let's do it. First, I got to make the parts. So let me make a part, standard part. I'm going to draw on the XY plane. Yes, right here, new sketch. This is just my first part is just what a 2-inch little square block with a hole down the middle. So I'm just going to draw a square here. I'm going to dimension this thing out. What is it? It's 1 by 1, 1 inch. Maybe it's always going to stay square, so I'll just select this dimension as my other dimension. So now it's always going to stay square. I'm going to constrain it. I'm going to constrain it over the midpoint with no dimensions. I'm just going to use geometric constraints. So I'll do a horizontal constraint to the midpoint of one of these sides, either side really. I'm going to do the midpoint to the center point here. That's going to push it up there. Those two are going to always stay in alignment. I'm going to do a vertical constraint from midpoint of either midpoint to the center point, and that's going to constrain my geometry. I only have one piece of data to ever change in there. It's that dimension is the only thing that I can change. Yeah, so I'm just like lines always have midpoints and endpoints. I just show like if you hover over them, there's a grip that'll show up. It'll be like a green grip like that. And I selected it, a middle point. And then I just need a circle on it. That's going to be a hole. I'm going to snap it to the midpoint there and then just say it's 5.5. Yeah. So really, I free myself up from having to do his other dimensions. He places the circle and then he dimensions the circle to center. I can geometrically constrain my square to the center, my center point, and then when I place my circle on center, I don't have any other additional constraints that I need. So really, it's to me, it's just two pieces of two dimensions that I could change this part. And I'll say finish. And then we're extruding this thing 2 inches long, I think, 2 inches. And I'll just go away from my sketch. So I'll say this profile, away from my sketch, 2 inches. But I just showed you why I like this. It's because of usually I'm going to use these planes as constraint drivers in my assembly. So I tend to use this more. Maybe I'll just start using it because I tend to use it more this way anyway. So I'll start to split it over sketch over center. The only thing that it makes it annoying is you have to remember when you go in to edit that sketch, you're going to be in the middle. Sometimes it's going to look like you're in the middle of material, and that F7 slice graphics is helpful to slice into where the sketch is really. Anyway, I need one more part. This part is it. So I'm going to save this one. What is this? Chapter 8, part 1. I just called it part 1. Chapter 8, part 1 in class. Save it. I need one more part. It's just the cylinder pin, so I'll make it independently. I'm tempted to show you one more way. Oh, that's good. Like I'm tempted just to derive in a part and build from a part because this is a really simple little assembly. So let me just show you this. Like we could totally like all we've done so far is just make unique standalone parts, and then at one time now we've built an assembly from unique standalone parts. What if I wanted to make a part from a part? Well, this is a good little experiment for that actually. So how about I open up a new part? Like I'm going to go in, like I'm going to make the second part, which is the pin in chapter 8. So I'm going to say make a new part, create it. So here I'm into my model space with my new parts. I don't know if they ever show this in this book. I would assume at some point they probably do. But on your create tab, which is just your main driving palette tab in my 3D model on my part, has this little powerful thing called derived component, derive here. If I select this, it's going to let me select a file, I think. Let me select this. Yes. What it wants to know is, okay, you're kind of deriving, you're bringing in a part to build from. So I'm gonna bring in that part that I just created. So I've already saved it. I need to have had to save it. And so it's in some folder somewhere. Mine is in my week 3 folder right here, part in class. I built this one. Kind of shows up my little preview. Yes, this is it. So when I say open, it kind of brings up this dialog box, which is a derived part. And I have all kinds of manipulation that I can do with this. Right now, I think default is just kind of bringing it in like we would normally see it. There's like, it looks like it's parts, visual style and everything is coming in, which is just, I'm bringing it in. Like, I think this is auto selected where it's maintain each solid as a solid body. So if I had separate solids, it's going to maintain each as a solid body. I think I can join those it's not going to affect this part whatsoever. It's a standalone single body part. So it's my part here is really simple, but some parts when you derive them in are more complicated. And I can choose to kind of join some of those together or keep them independent solids. We haven't really explored that yet at all, so we don't really know what this would do. I'll keep it. However, what I do usually is I'm just using this as kind of what I'm doing is I'm using this part as a reference to build my other part. And so I choose to not usually bring this in as a solid like this. I usually choose to bring it in as a surface like this. Bodywork as a surface. I can always come back and change this later. So whatever you select is totally modifiable. But I'm just gonna select this as a surface. What it's gonna do is it's gonna look like kind of just these orange, it's gonna look like kind of my planes look like. Yeah, what I'm doing here is I'm just in a new part. I've done no sketching, nothing yet. So I'm in a part file, and then I go up here to derive. Creates a part using another Autodesk Inventor part or an assembly as the basic components of or inserts of pre. So it's just kind of a way to build a part from a part. So you're kind of thinking of an assembly. And in my mind, I'm thinking from this exercise, the pin is going to go in the block. So the pin is really going to be designed in relation to the block. And so I'm kind of building like a foundation to build the pin from. So if I derive this in, it's going to open up to say, what part do you want to derive in? I'm going to say, oh, I want the part 1 that I already drew, this part right here. Sorry, this one. And then I just say open. And it comes in like it's going to drop that part into my new part file. It's a part in a part here. I just chose to say I'm going to make this kind of look like it's translucent or just it's not really a solid, but it's kind of a reference surface planes, I guess is what I'm thinking of, like this. It's going to be orange like this. It's going to have all of its features, but it's just kind of like it's one way that I recognize it. It's like a reference part. I use it more for a visual cue than I do but you could keep it so it looks like it's normal part feature. In here, it's kind of like changeable too in this little expanded menu. What the main one is, oh, I'm selecting like objects, solid bodies. I think I can exclude the solid objects. I think I can like, let's see here. If I think about, I thought this was more extent. Oh yeah, I can either choose to like not include that one. So if I had multiple bodies, I can choose which bodies on my part I'm using. I know that's a next level. We haven't really done that yet. So I really only have one solid in this part, but sometimes we're going to build some stuff where we have multiple solids in one part. Here, I could choose to turn off the ones I don't want and keep the ones I do. I only have one solid, so I really probably want it turned on. And there's just a couple different other selections here. I think it's like, I don't think solid 1 is going to change much. I thought one of them was just going to be like a part envelope, so I might not get the hole in it, but I might get like its overall shape, and I could use it as kind of like I'm looking to like bring in that volume and work around that. I don't really need its attributes. I just need its volume that it's going to take up. Anyway, I'm actually just going to leave mine with a little plus sign. Kind of looks like a screwdriver, I guess, from a Phillips to a flathead. I really am not making any changes here. I'm actually just it's just going to be a solid. The only thing I'm really changing is from default to this surface. And I think I'm keeping this here. Sort by default show. I'm going to say okay. This should show up as that. That's what I'm looking for is this to come in and be in my space. It's kind of just like turn my solid into a plane kind of surface. Yeah. But and then it shows up here on my model tree, right? So there's the solid. Here's how I can get in and like change whatever I just selected now. If you right click up here and you would edit derived part, it's kind of how I would edit a feature or edit a sketch. like here's where I get back into that dialog box. If I chose some selections I don't want, I can reselect them here. This is how I want mine to be, is just kind of this part here. I believe that it comes in as already constrained to the same, like, my plane surfaces and center points are all the same with that part. It came in and almost ground and rooted itself, I guess, in some way. I don't think I can move this thing. I can't move it in this space. So it is kind of ground and rooted. And now I can build a part from this part. So now I can use this as like I would do a sketch on another object. Like, as you build out your normal parts, you kind of do a sketch, build a feature, then you might add a hole, and so you select a surface and add a sketch, and so I can kind of work from it the same way now. I can design this pin and be like, I don't have to think of it as a standalone part. I can be like, oh, I'm gonna draw a pin that fits in this hole from this surface. So I can select this surface, like new sketch. I can just like project this geometry. Oh, my pin is this diameter. Perfect. Bam, done. I can finish this sketch. Then I can extrude this thing. Oh, what is this supposed to be? Oh, it's supposed to be 2 inches the other way. And then I can just say, okay. And there's my part. And then I can just turn this off. So I can actually, like, I think it's right here. If I select this, I can just turn off the visibility. And there's my part without the derived part in there. For sure. For sure. Let me just undo what I just did. So you have your part brought in, right? Yeah, there's my part. And then I just decided, oh, I'm going to sketch, from the front plane or wherever on this. I want to build the pin that fits in that hole. So I'm just going to sketch a new sketch on this plane, this surface, new sketch. And then I just projected the geometry of one of these circles, like this one. And that is the side. They actually want us to make a 1/2 inch. They also want us to make another thing that won't actually work, which is a 1/2 inch hole and a 1/2 inch pin. But this is it. That's actually my part. It's actually, I didn't even have to do any sketching. I just projected the geometry that existed. If I was making it fit, I might come in here and make a new, I could offset this thing and bring in a tolerance and make this my extruded part. That might be how I would really need to work to make something that actually worked. Here, they just show that we're making a 1/2 inch hole, 1/2 inch pin. So that's really all I needed to project, was that size and say finish. And then I extruded that because it's just a projected geometry. It's not like a new sketch, actually just working from that derived part. I said to go this way, so it's in the hole there like that. And then I said, okay. I entered 2 inches. Yeah, and then your little part always lives in that other part. But really, when I derive in a part to build a part from, I generally will turn it off. It's like it'll show, if I bring that into an assembly, it'll show that derived part, um, that shadow of one, right? Yeah. So you can just turn off the visibility. It's over here. Turn on and off the visibility. I think I can I don't think I can turn off the visibility here. So I have to expand the derived part is here. I have to expand it in order to turn it off, kind of turn off its visibility like that. I think you can suppress it here, but if you suppress it, I don't even think suppress link with base component. You're going to end up messing up your sketches potentially, or they'll become unconstrained if they don't have, I don't know that. Let me try that here. I suppress that. Does this thing blow up? Maybe not. No, I don't think so. I think it knows that it's there. I generally don't suppress these though, unsuppress link. I generally just turn the visibility on and off. And what I look for in order for me to know that my part was built that way is I just come in, I look at my model tree, and I might recognize, ahead, above the extrusion and stuff, I have a part sitting there with its part name and everything. So it's just a quick identifier for me that I'm like, oh, somebody's derived in a part here. And so, because your derived parts will live like kind of above anything that you do. And so they usually just live right here below the origin. These derived parts come in. It doesn't like to derive a part from its own part, right? That's one thing it won't let you do. Like, no. There are some limitations to it. And then I'm just going to say this one. So that was not in the books. That's just kind of the bonus there. So this is part 2 that I built. I just thought, I didn't have that plan. I just thought, oh, when I build the pipe support, I do that. I kind of show that type of assembly building. So in the event that you're working ahead and working on the pipe support, I just built one part, then I built everything from it. And it really wouldn't matter which one you start with. There is still some missing information on the pipe support. you have to reference a pipe schedule chart, pipe size chart. And so I don't think I've loaded that in. I maybe have loaded in the description that I've got to go look for a pipe size chart to even know what dimensions to work with. Because the engineer's sketch does have the pipe size called out, but he doesn't have the actual, like the weird thing about pipe is it's not just like a 2 inch pipe doesn't measure 2 inches anywhere on it. We learned a little bit of that last semester, but you have to be careful with materials, the 2x4 situation, right? You have to be careful with the way we call out stuff is not always its size. So we have to reference charts for the pipe support drawing this week. But anyway, I just want, and then I build that one with this derived concept. Because it's a really handy way to build a part from a part. However, it does like put a loop in there, right? Like this part always lives in that other part. So there are, and so changes I made. Well, what I like about this is, let me just show you. If I go to this part now, and I decided this is completely wrong. Like this whole thing was supposed to be 4 inches. There's my change. This whole thing is supposed to be like that. So I make this change like I would normally to any solid edit. And here's my view. Here's actually what that thing should have been. Now, when I go to my other part that was built from a part, it's got an update it needs. It's like my derived part has been changed. Let's update that. This thing automatically updated because I just projected the geometry from that part. And so now this pin took on all of those attributes because it's driving it. It's like, I didn't draw new sketches. I just projected geometry from that sketch. Yeah. So this update happened to me like automatically. I go back in here and change this back to the 1 inch that it should be, and back to the to 1 inch. That. And then I finish. It's back to its normal size. This part says I need an update. There's my size. So this is how people become really fast with Inventor, is if they really can build a relationship with parts to parts, minimal data inputs, automatic updates. I mean, people get really fast this way. And then you have like in-house drafting challenges where your drafting manager says, this happened at Christmas time. It was actually really fun. They would give us parts to design. It would be whoever can do it faster and submit it to them. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I was really not fast, but I was blown away at how fast people were. And it's because they do hack stuff like this. Not hack stuff. They're just smart. They're just using the software to work for them. And we need to now build an assembly with these parts going together. So the next thing is on this assignment is just to open up a new assembly. I know I'm kind of dragging. Sorry, I didn't think that was going to take me as long as it did. I know I'm dragging on a little long. So if you got to go, I'll keep recording because I'm just going to finish this out, which is place my parts now. This is a new assembly file. It looks like a part file. Hard to tell the difference other than it has that assemble tab. Place those parts in here. So I'm going to take those two parts that I just built. Here's one. Open it up. Place it. Let's just left click and then just escape because I only need one of these. And then I need the pin as well. So I'm going to place the pin in here. Just totally in an assembly. Yep. This is just kind of like review of what we just did in that first assembly. I just need part 2, this one. Open it. There it is. Yeah. I like my visual style to be shaded with edges. I'm going to ground and root this one. So this is the one I'm going to ground and root, which is right here. Remember, it's on my assemble tab over here on productivity. There's my ground and root. That's the component I want to pick, and then I want to apply it, and it's going to move it into the origins from the part are going to line up with the origins in the model space, in the assembly space. And then this one so this one can't move now, it has no movement whatsoever. This one I'm going to insert into there. So I'm going to do one constraint, which is going to be the axis, and this one. And I'm going to say okay. And then that one does what we would be normally used to seeing, is that thing will slide in and out. That's great. Okay, and then I save this, I think. I'm going to save this assembly as my chapter 8 exercise. Yep, there's my 3 assemblies from this week that I've worked on so far. Just that one constraint. Yeah, that's all yep, exactly right. It could be constrained. I don't know what they all do in the book. I think they just do that one. I don't think he does any others. Let me look through. I don't think so. I think they just do that. And then I'm going to save this thing. You may have to save it to do this next step. I can't remember. Chapter 8 exercise. This is me in class. So I've got my assembly constrained, and it's going to want me to save my parts. And then we want to open up an IPN file, which is this presentation. This is how you would make like an assembly file, like I think of IKEA manuals or something. But so to do that, I think in the book he just goes up here and he comes down in here to presentation. I just want to show that he's going to a quick access here to these. It's the same as if I go to the home tab and go, here I normally open up my browse templates so I can see all my categories. It's this one right here, a standard IPN is the next part file. So now we've covered everything. IPT, yes, we've covered. We just haven't done sheet metal, but they are very reversible. We've done an IAM, sorry, file. Next week we'll do that one. We've done a drawing file, which we haven't been great drafters yet. And this is the standard IPN. So if I select this one and say create, it kind of looks different for sure. It looks, and then, okay, so it wants to know, initially it wants to know, what am I placing in this? Because what this is kind of like this little, I think of it as like a little studio that you're creating here. Like a little visual art studio or something here. So it wants to know what assembly am I bringing in here? And it is looking for assembly files. If you ever cannot find your files here, just remember it's a little bit like AutoCAD. Sometimes you have to like choose to look for those type of files. Like it only wants to bring in an assembly file to do this type of work. But in other cases, just always watch that if you can't find your files in your browser, just make sure you're looking for the right type of files. This won't allow me to choose anything else, actually. It has to be a .iam file. IAM file. And I want this one, the one that we're doing in class. And I'm just going to say open. And now I think my studio looks a little bit different. Yes, my ribbon menu looks different. I got a little like snapshot views on my right side. I've got my normal kind of model browser on my left side, but it looks a little bit different. It is an IPN file. And so I can still go to view tab and turn on. I still like to have my edges here. So that's kind of annoying that my default is not. Back over to the presentation tab. So I have a presentation tab, a tools tab, which is just mostly some of the options on the application options actually here. Yes, and styles editor. View is what I just used, but definitely a simplified. I can't even do anything here yet, and I could collaborate, but it's really a simplified ribbon menu for sure. Well, and then it has like a new storyboard, so I can totally make like I think like a new little movie here and a new snapshot. So I think I can do some animated imagery here, or I can take snapshots of just images of the things pulled apart. And this is how I actually do the manipulation here, is actually tweak components. So it's funny they still call it tweak components. I know it's kind of fun. What we're going to do though here is we're going to actually like tweak this thing. So the way I have it assembled here is just randomly put in here and just constrained in the axis direction. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tweak this thing and pull it out and then pull it up and then pull it over, kind of like they do in the book. And so what it does is if I go to tweak components, and it needs me to pick a part to tweak, which I think is going to be this one. When I select what I'm going to tweak, a little UCS pops up. Is that right? Yeah, yeah. My little control symbol here, where when I hover over them, it says drag to specify distance here. And then I get this kind of little I could definitely pick different parts here, but this is like all my controls over maybe what I have here. I'm not going to get too in depth on all of these necessarily. What I want to do is just do some simple tweaks here and how this works. And so I'm just going to use this. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to drag this thing out of the hole. So I'm going to select this. It'll allow me to move in the Z direction by dimension, or I can just drag it and see how far this needs to come out and maybe away. So I'm going to say, I'm going to move this thing like 2 inches in that direction. And then I'm going to move this thing up. Oh, did they do one more constraint on us? They may have. He may have constrained. Let me look for a minute. Because right now I can tell the way these planes are probably in relation to the origin planes on the part. And I did an axial alignment here on the axis, but I never did like a plane alignment to stay like true and flat necessarily. On a round thing, it doesn't seem like it would matter, but it kind of matters if I'm kind of manipulating it here because it wants me to pull these based off its kind of origin planes. And it'll kind of be weird. They're not going to be in alignment with this potentially this origin planes on these. I can tell they're not. They're all kind of crooked here compared to how that one sits. I was just looking through my book to see if he actually did do one more constraint. I can't say that he did. I don't remember. It wouldn't really totally matter, other than I would have been able to keep it. I don't think he did. Let me just look through that. Grounding. Yeah, I might escape on this just for a minute. I'm going to cancel those tweaks for a minute. I'm going to go out to the part itself. This is the part. This is the assembly, sorry, the assembly. And all I'm looking for is maybe I'm going to do one more constraint just for me to kind of, I like to maintain like it's like, instead of being crooked like this, I kind of want the planes on this, which are lined up nice. If I think of my front view here and I think of my origin planes, they're nice and perpendicular to my front view by ground and rooting that one. This one I haven't ground and rooted, and I do want it to move, so I don't want to ground and root it. I want it to be axial aligned, but then I want to rotate it to where one of these planes is lined up with one of these planes on either the part or the actual assembly planes. But technically, the ground and rooted part planes are in alignment with these planes. So I could choose either these planes and one of these to align. So let's just do that. I'm gonna pick, technically the YZ plane here. I'm back in the assembly and I've expanded I definitely expanded these out so I can get to their planes, their origin planes. Yeah. And then I'm looking, I could pick any of these, probably not this one. This isn't the one I want to align anything to, but really what I'm looking for is like this crooked plane or this crooked plane. I want to align it with straight up and down or straight horizontal. And so maybe I'll look at this particular one is a YZ plane. I can see it like listed here. And then this one is the YZ plane. So technically I might want those to align. They were built off each other, so technically their YZ planes should align. And so I think I'm going to do a constraint to align those two planes. Constraint. I'm going to say, I want this YZ plane to be the same as this YZ. And I'm just going to say, okay. They just share those planes. It still allows this thing to pull in and out. But it doesn't allow me to like turn that thing now because those planes are kind of like locked together now, which could be bad. If that pin needed to rotate, I would have to free up that constraint. So if I did need that pin to turn and rotate, this is going to not allow that to do that. That plane to plane alignment is going to keep it. But let's just say this is just like an inserted, it's an interference fit for one anyway. It's size on size. So once I insert this, I'm not planning on it rotating. I'm just trying to seat it in there. And this is how I want it to be. Now, if I go over to my storyboard here, it'll make those updates automatically, right? Like this little IPN file that I have open just made those adjustments. And now when I go to tweak components, I get the same little list here. I'm going to pick this part. But right now I can tell my origin planes are now kind of in alignment. They're not crooked compared to the part. And this will help me kind of do a presentation of how these fit together without them being kind of weirdly aligned. Now they're going to kind of stay orthographically aligned in some ways, is what I'm thinking. So I can still select this little arrow and pull it out till it clears and it kind of builds that little trail of it showing. So maybe I need to go like 2.5 inches or something, 2.5. That's that. Yeah, that one should have automatically updated when I jumped over into this browser. It should have accepted the updates from that assembly. And then I drug it out 2.5 inches. And then while I'm doing that, I don't think I need to close this yet. I think I can now choose this one and pull it up this way, even though I can just pull it in the direction orthographically. And I think in the book, they pull it up like about this far. This is technically a -2 direction though. Positive would be the way the arrow points. Negative is opposite of the way the arrow points. Really common in Inventor to be able to use those negative and positive values to change direction. And then we're going to come over this direction, I think, until we clear the part like this. And maybe this is like 5.5. It's kind of -5.5 in me. It's just based off how my part is in relation. And then I'll just hit enter on this. I think if I hit enter, it's the same as hitting that green check above. And my tweak components kind of goes away. Did I do this right? Is there like a storyboard? Do I need to make a storyboard? Oh man, I don't know. Did I do this wrong? Yours automatically made a storyboard. Mine did not though, right? Like I was expecting mine to have and what you would have is like a little like almost like a little start and stop animation type storyboard from start to finish. I don't feel like yeah, I don't know why mine didn't automatically populate. Uh, yeah, because yours has, and you should be able to play that back. You should be able to go to the storyboard and play those moves back. Um, I may have to create a new storyboard. Scene one, tweaks. I have my tweaks. No, I don't really know if it saved those tweaks. Maybe I just didn't do, maybe I just didn't like, I don't know. Yeah, it did come out too, but I have a snapshot view, which I don't necessarily want, but kind of do. Um, I may try this again just to see if my IPN starts different. Let me just try. Try a new, I'm going to try from this presentation. Let me go back and look at this. I'm in my assembly. What if I said from here to do a presentation? Wants to know what I'm doing it. 75. It should be this one. Open. Yours, create a drawing view. I should be creating a new storyboard, I thought. I thought it already, yours is automatically creating it though? Hmm. What is mine doing weird? I could have, I don't know. I have had some weird dialog boxes not open for me on this. Yeah, I don't know. Mine acts like I don't have the right dialog boxes opening up, which I have had issues. Not, I think I told you on my I've had issues on my ground and root dialog box. I may have some issues here. Let me see. New storyboard. I feel like my storyboard is not creating correctly. I'm gonna save my file here and close it and see if I can reopen it and see if it, I don't know. I'm actually, it's kind of its own little animation of ways. It's kind of like, it's kind of, well, if it was working right, we would see, but yeah, I should be creating almost a different way to make a little animation. And it's a way to also take like snapshots of of how these parts fit together for my drawings. Let me see. I'm going to save this real quick. It's an IPN. For one, it's creating a new file type. It's an IPN file. I'm going to close these down real quick. Is it working for you? Storyboard should come up at the bottom. You should have like a little, yeah, mine is just not populating. Oh, good, good, good. It should. Let me reopen mine.
That's pretty cool. And this is how animation is done.
This is a way. Yeah, I feel like this is more of like an assembly.
If someone ordered a part this simple from you, it probably needs some instructions. You take, put in,
Which one are you doing?
So once you run your edit, your tweak, anything about them? Like you haven't done your tweaks.
Well, I did, but didn't save them. It's maybe I didn't save my tweaks actually. I
Tells you
tweaked.
through it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start a new one.
She redid her tweak and it popped up at the top of the video. And that's
Oh, yeah, I think I maybe didn't save my tweaks here, but I did tweak it to where it's all out of alignment. Let me reload it. Create this thing here. Let me try my old one. I, I think he uses whirl too. I don't think that matters as much though to me. This tweak component is 2 inches.
Is that all we?
That is all you have to do for that.
As long as the animation can do it.
As long as you're, yeah, mine is still not coming up necessarily. I do think it is unique to me and my issue here on my computer. I think when I did my original one at home, I think I didn't have issues. Let's see.
Throw it away and just reopen it. Toolbar.
Yeah, you should have a storyboard because your tweaks show up on your model browser for sure. I'll troubleshoot my machine. I'll see why my boxes aren't coming up exactly like yours probably are. So all they did was they did those tweaks, they showed those trails, and then that's all he shows. He shows you how you can actually play through it. How this would actually, to me, be used more so is when you do like a new snapshot, and you can choose to like show your parts like extracted from a part. So if you think of like exploded views, if you think of like an assembly that you've ever seen, like you've bought something and it shows the assembly type, you can actually make kind of an exploded view of your assembly and show how parts will insert into each other. So for a lot of drawings, you don't do that, but I would say, and in the worlds I worked with, we would do occasional ones for sometimes customers and for some of our like operation manuals or the manuals that would go with our equipment. We might have a few where we would set up like some imagery that we take a snapshot of showing how parts slide into each other and how the assembly should take place. Sometimes it's helpful for an assembly sequence where it really matters where one part goes in first, then the next part. And you may need to break this down with somebody building your equipment or putting it together. You may need to show them. This is one way to do that because you can take snapshots of it and add those snapshots to your drawing. So I think of like a operation manual sometimes or where these imagery comes into play. And that's it though, really.
Like when Apple or Dyson present a new product and you have to like
Exploded.
to like show all
Yeah.
high-tech things that you'll never be able to make on your own, so just buy our product.
And then when one thing breaks into